Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Dr. Noliana. We are excited to present our topic today titled The Malaysian Parliaments as part of our course on Introduction to Public Administration. My name is Muhammad Amin Shakir bin Ahmad Zaidi and I am joined by my group members Muhammad Ashraf bin Abu Bakar and Shahmizan bin Samsul Kamal. Throughout this presentation, we will explore the historical background, structure, function, and challenges faced of the Malaysian parliaments in the context of public administration. We'll cover how this vital institution contributes to the legislative process, its role in shaping public policy, and the checks and balance within Malaysia political system. We hope this discussion will offer valuable insight into how parliamentary system function and the importance of effective governance in a democratic society. Without further delay, let's begin our presentation. Parliament is the bulwark of democracy. Parliament places the people representative on the pedestal of power. It is up to them to determine which laws should be passed and which should not. In Parliament, the ascension of ministerial responsibility is made and the government's accountability is checked. Parliamentarians make and unmake law. They hold the key to ensure that the governments in power carry out their tasks and how work for the people interests and act within the ambit of the rules of law and uphold the supremacy of the constitution. Like other government's organs, Parliament is subject to the law and cannot hide behind its will of parliamentary privilege. The mission of Malaysian Parliament to ensure professional, innovative and strategic governance to give quality service. Committed to efficiently fulfill the responsibilities towards the stakeholder to give quality service to the clients and to apply the best and strategic practice for resource management and administration of the organisation. Well, the vision of Malaysian Parliament is Parliament of Malaysia as a world-class legislative institution. As a supreme legislative institution, Parliament of Malaysia has the vision to become the pioneer and benchmark to other local and international legislative institutions.
Historical background. The history of Malaysia's parliament is related strongly to the colonial period of the country, to its struggle for independence, and to its post-independence development as a democratic state. A democratic system emphasizing its role as the key institution for lawmaking, government accountability, and the protection of citizens' rights. Parliamentarians are responsible for determining which laws are passed and ensuring that the government adheres to the rule of law and the constitution. The journal highlights the importance of parliamentary debates, the conduct of members, and the institution's responsibility to the people. It also addresses concern about Parliament's functionality, especially during emergencies when it may not sit affecting government accountability and accountability. The journal described in the passage look to foster discussion of improving Parliament's role, functions, and procedures, inviting contributions from various disciplines such as law, political science, sociology, and communication. The inaugural edition features insights from experts including professors, politicians, and social activists offering their perspective on key issues. Pre-independence era, British colonial influence. Malaysia, earlier known as Malaya, was a colony of Britain except the part of Borneo and Singapore. It was either under direct British rule or as a protectorate. The British introduced a system of governance through a combination of appointed councils and advisory bodies, though these were primarily advisory and had limited powers. The Federal Council was the main legislative body for the Federated Malay State proved in 1878. Consultative with little power, it was an advisory body to the British colonial authorities. Therefore, Singapore, Penang, and Malacca were also collectively known as the Straits Settlements. Each was governed by its own legislative council under British oversight. In the 1950s, with increasing nationalist sentiments, the British set in motion structures toward a more democratic and self-governing Malaya. These were precursors to the institution of a national parliament. Post-independence era formation of Malaysia. Nation of Malaysia gained independence from Britain on August 31, 1957 and adopted the Westminster parliamentary system. The Constitution of 1957 established a bicameral legislature with the Dewan Rakyat, which is House of Representative, as the lower house, elected by the people, and the Dewan Negara, Senate, elected by the people, and the Dewan Negara Senate as the upper house, appointed by the king on the prime minister's advice, representing the states and federal territories. Post-independence era formation of Malaysia. Nation of Malaysia gained independence from Britain on August 31, 1957 and adopted the Westminster parliamentary system. The Constitution of 1957 established a bicameral legislature with the Dewan Rakyat, which is House of Representative, as the lower house, elected by the people, and the Dewan Negara, Senate, elected by the people, and the Dewan Negara Senate as the upper house, appointed by the king on the prime minister's advice, representing the states and federal territories. Formation of Malaysia, 1963. In 1963, the Federation of Malaysia, together with Singapore, Sarawak, and Sabah, formed Malaysia. The constitution was amended to include these new territories with some adjustments for their unique conditions. However, when Singapore separated from Malaysia in 1965, it vacated its seats in parliament, while the parliamentary system remained unchanged for the rest of the country. Political development in the 1970 until 1980. After the 1969 racial riots, Malaysia declared a state of emergency and parliament was temporarily suspended while the National Operation Council ruled by decree. Once parliamentary democracy was restored, political reform were introduced for greater stability, including the formation of the Barisan Nasional coalition, which dominated politics for decades. In the 1970s and 1980s, constitutional amendments were made to increase executive power, reduce parliamentary influence, and strengthen the control of state governments, while also diminishing the judiciary influence and entrenching the powers of the Prime Minister and cabinets. Contemporary Parliament 1990 until present. In the 1990s, Malaysia saw political reforms and the rise of opposition parties. Although the ruling Barisan Nasional coalition retained control, the opposition's growing popularity energized the political process. A major turning point occurred in the 2018 general elections when the opposition coalition Pakatan Harapan defeated Barisan Nasional, ending its 61-year rule and marking a significant moment in Malaysia's democratic history. Following this, Malaysia implemented constitutional reforms including lowering the voting age from 21 to 18 and introducing automatic voter registration, making the political system more inclusive and reflecting a younger, more dynamic electorate.
Structure of Parliament. Parliament of Malaysia represent the democratic structure of the government and reflect the people expression through the elected representative. It is the highest legislative body of the country that consists of three main components: His Majesty the King, the Senate, and House of Representatives. Following the first general election after independence, the first meeting of the first Parliament of Malay Federation was held on 11 September 1959 at Tunku Abdul Rahman Hall, Kuala Lumpur. On that day, the Senate and House Representatives met concurrently for the first time. The first order of the day was the appointment of the President and Speaker of First House, followed by oath-taking ceremony by 38 senators and 104 elected representatives. On 16 September 1963, Malaysia was formed when Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore agreed to the part of Malaysia. Since then, the Parliament of the Federation of Malaya is known as Parliament of Malaysia. The date also marked another historical event when the Parliament season was held in its own new building on the 16.2 hectares land near to Lake Perdana. Today, the member of 12th Parliament has increased to 70 senators and 222 members for the House Representative. Parliament of Malaysia will continue to be institution upheld by the people and the symbol of constitutional democracy. Parliament is the highest legislative body in Malaysia. It consists of His Majesty the King as the head of state, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. Article 55 of the Federal Constitution stipulates that only His Majesty the King can summon for Parliament to be in session. His Majesty also has the absolute power to prorogue or dissolve the parliaments. Therefore, His Majesty the King is vested by the Constitution to summon for the Parliament to meet within 6 months between the last proceeding in the last session and the date appointed for its first proceeding in the next session. For the House of Representatives, the leader of the House or the deputy has to determine the dates of proceeding at least 28 days before the beginning of each session. Nevertheless, from time to time, the leader of the House or the deputy can change the date that have been fixed as and when desired. Unless dissolved, the parliamentary proceeding will commence for 5 years from the date of the first proceeding conduct after the general election. At the end of the first year period, the parliament will be dissolved within 60 days from the date of its dissolution. A general election has to be held to elect representative for the House of Representatives. Parliamentary proceeding must convince at a date not later than 120 days from the date of its dissolution. The Senate consists of 70 senators. The membership of the Senate is made up of 2 categories: 26 members elected by the State Legislative Assembly to represent 13 states. Each state represents by 2 members, while 44 members appointed by His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the advice of the Prime Minister, including 2 members from Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur and 1 member each from the Federal Territory of Labuan and Putrajaya. To be eligible as a member, a person must be a Malaysian citizen, be not less than 30 years old, be of sound mind, not be undischarged bankrupt. The tenure of office is a 3-year term for a maximum of 2 terms, applicable to both federal and state appointment. The life of the Senate is not affected by the dissolution of Parliament. Senators are drawn from the ranks of persons who have rendered distinguished public service or have achieved distinction in the profession, commerce, industry, agriculture, cultural activities or social service, or are representative of racial minorities or are capable of representing the interests of orang asli. Every member, before taking his seat in the Senate, must take the prescribed oath before the President of the Senate. By the oath, the members swear or affirm that they will faithfully discharge their duty as senator to be best of their ability to bear true faith and allegiance to Malaysia and to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution.
Assalamualaikum, Doctor. Today I'll be talking about the roles and function of the Malaysian Parliament, which plays a central role in governing our country. The Parliament is a key institution in Malaysia's constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. It consists of 3 main components. The first one, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, which is the King, the Dewan Rakyat, House of Representatives, and the Dewan Negara, which is Senate. Each of these works together to ensure effective governance and protect our democratic values. The first one is a legislative authority. The Parliament's most important job is making laws. It drafts, debates, and approves laws that apply to the entire country. Changes to the Federal Constitution, which is Malaysia's supreme law, require a 2/3 majority in both houses, ensuring that such decisions are carefully considered. The second one is oversight and accountability. Parliament keeps the government in check. During question time, members of Parliament, which is MPs, ask tough questions and scrutinize government decisions. Parliamentary committees also investigate issues and monitor the government works, ensuring it serves the public and operates lawfully. The third one, financial control. Parliament controls the country's finances by debating and approving the national budget. It decides how public funds are spent, approves tax, and ensures that the government uses resources effectively. This helps maintain economic stability and transparency. Number 4, representation of the people. The Dewan Rakyat represents the people with MPs elected from different constituencies. Their voice the concern and interests of their voters. The Dewan Negara, on the other hand, includes appointed and elected senators who represent states and other groups, adding diverse perspectives to Parliament's decision. Number 5. Check and balance. Parliament ensures a balance of power between the government branches. It reviews decisions made by the executive and judiciary to prevent overreach. Through confident votes, Parliament can also decide if the government remains in power. Number 6. International engagement. Parliament helps manage Malaysia's relationships with other countries. It debates and approves international agreements to ensure they benefit the nation. MPs also participate in global organizations to foster cooperation. Number 7. Safeguarding rights and liberties. Parliament protects the rights of all Malaysians as outlined in the Federal Constitution. It ensures laws do not violate citizen freedom and raises public concern to address grievances and injustices. Last one, emergency power. In emergencies, Parliament plays a crucial role. It can approve or cancel emergency declaration made by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and create emergency laws to address urgent challenges. Thank you.
Key challenges faced by Malaysian Parliament. The Malaysian Parliament play a critical role in the country's political system, acting as the primary legislative body responsible for passing laws, scrutinizing the executive and representing the interests of the people. However, over the years, the Malaysian Parliament has faced a series of challenges that have hindered its ability to function efficiently and effectively. Number 1 is the political instability and frequent change in government. One of the most significant challenges faced by the Malaysian Parliament in recent years is the issue of political instability. Since the 14th general election in 2018, Malaysia has seen a series of political upheavals, including changes in the ruling government and coalitions. The shift from the Barisan Nasional or BN coalition to Pakatan Harapan PH, followed by the formation of Perikatan Nasional PN, has created a volatile political environment. The frequent change in the government has disrupted the continuity of policies and governance, making it difficult for Parliament to function smoothly. This political transition often result in delayed legislative process as new coalition must form, agree on policies and recognize parliamentary leadership. Number 2 is the corruption within the political system. Corruption has been a present issue in Malaysia, affecting both the government and parliaments. High-profile scandals such as the One NDB or One Malaysia Development Berhad scandal have undermined the credibility of political institutions, including the Malaysian Parliament. Corruption not only damages public trust in elected representatives, but also impacts the country development by diverting resource means for public welfare. Number 3 is the weak parliamentary oversight. Parliament is responsible for scrutinizing the actions of the executive branch and ensuring that public funds are spent wisely. However, the parliamentary oversight function in Malaysia has often been weak due to various factors, including limited resources for parliamentary committees, political interference, and the dominance of the ruling party. In many cases, parliamentary committees, which are meant to carry out detailed scrutiny of government activities, are underfunded and lack the necessary staff to conduct thorough investigations. Additionally, the ruling party dominance over the parliamentary agenda means that there is little independent oversight, especially when the executive is aligned with legislative majority. Number 4 is the polarization and partisanship. The Malaysian Parliament is deeply divided along political lines with intense partisanship affecting the legislative process. Political parties often prioritize their own interests over national unity, leading to gridlock in Parliament. The polarization in evidence in the way law are debated and passed, with opposition parties frequently opposing the ruling party. This political polarization makes it difficult to achieve meaningful consensus on key national issues such as economic reform, social welfare, and public health. As a result, Parliament is often unable to respond swiftly and effectively to pleasing challenges such as economic downturn or public health crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic. The reduced polarization, Parliament should focus on building a culture of collaboration and constructive debate. This involves promoting bipartisan cooperation or national issues or encouraging cross-party dialogues. Number 5, ineffective law-making and slow legislative process. Malaysian legislative process is often criticized for being slow and efficient. The process of passing law can be delayed due to political disputes, bureaucratic hurdles, and insufficient time allocated for debate. This has been particularly evident in the passage of important bills such as related to economic reform, social welfare, and environment protection. And the last one is the low public engagement with parliamentary activities. Many Malaysians are disengaged from parliamentary activities, with a significant portion of the population showing little interest in the working of the legislative body. This engagement is partly due to a lack of awareness about the importance of parliament and a sense of disconnect from a political system. The result in a decline in voter turnout and limited public pressure of parliamentarians to deliver on their promise. Thank you.
Conclusion is Malaysia's parliament represents the country's road from a British colony to a dynamic, at times turbulent, parliamentary democracy. It has been highly evolved since independence into an improved system with the basic structures of Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara remaining central to governance. The parliament further emerged into practice, still evolving, entailing reforms to the electoral process to enhance political accountability. The Malaysian Parliament plays a vital role in shaping the country's governance, policymaking, and ensuring the democratic process. However, it faces a range of significant challenges that impact its effectiveness. Political instability, frequent government changes, and corruptions within the system have weakened the parliament's ability to function consistently and transparently. The dominance of partisan politics often leads to gridlock, while weak parliamentary oversight undermines its capacity to hold the executive accountable. Furthermore, the slow and inefficient lawmaking process combined with low public engagement reduce the effectiveness of the parliament in addressing national issues. To overcome these challenges, it is essential for Malaysia to implement key reforms that strengthen political stability, reduce corruption, and improve the transparency of parliamentary proceedings. Enhancing bipartisan cooperation, ensuring independent oversight, and promoting greater public involvement can help restore confidence in the parliamentary system. Ultimately, a more efficient, transparent, and inclusive parliament is critical for Malaysia's long-term stability and growth. It is vital for the institution to evolve and adapt to the changing political landscape to better serve the needs of the people, promote good governance, and contribute to the country's development. Through continuous reform and a commitment to democratic principles, the Malaysian Parliament can play a central role in ensuring a prosperous and stable future for the nation. Thank you.